Welcome to Secrets of the Stones. Tonight's stone is lepidolite. Lepidolite was given the name that which lifts up heaviness stone. It can appear in shades of pink, purple, rose red, yellow, and clear. It can be found in many regions around the world. Gemstone quality stones come from Afghanistan and Pakistan. Lepidolite, which emerges from the igneous level, is named that which lifts up heaviness stone because it draws away from the deeper levels of the earth, away from the magma, and lifts things out. Lepidolite forms in the presence of fluorine gas, which causes it to have a flaky and porous texture. This texture gives it a relationship to the spleen qi and its ability to dissolve and reconstitute nutrients that are used by the body for nourishment. In its raw state, it is structured in layers or chunky pieces. The stones that are found in layers are more cooling. It is composed of potassium, lithium, aluminum, silicate. Potassium has a regulating effect on body fluid metabolism. Aluminum acts as an analgesic, soothes the nerves, and calms the spirit. The pink color comes from its lithium content, which gives it an effect on the blood. Darker purple stones contain more lithium and affect heart blood. I've listed the symptoms of heart blood deficiency here. Heart blood deficiency might cause palpitations that are worse in the evenings, insomnia, poor memory, anxiety, and dream-disturbed sleep, or the tendency to be easily startled, and a dull, pale complexion, pale lips, and frequent dizziness. Lighter shades of lepidolite contain more aluminum and have an effect on the heat and wind in the liver channel. The liver channel is easy to be affected by the emotions, especially the emotion of anger, and stagnant emotions can cause heat to burn up the liver yin fluids or the cooling fluids. When this happens, the warm fluids or the liver yang, the liver wind will rise up. Lepidolite is a mica. It is comprised of many layers, which calls attention to the layers of emotional baggage we may be carrying in our lives. The stone is primarily acting on emotional issues, especially acute presentations of long-standing conditions. It is generally more appropriate for acute conditions that require immediate resolution. However, if a person has a long-standing history of obsessive or pensive thought patterns, it can help draw the emotional charge out of the blood level, which is the deepest level of the body. Lepidolite has an ascending nature and traverses the 8 extraordinary meridians. However, its effects can mostly be felt in the governor and the yin wei or yin linking meridians, pictured here. The yin wei meridian reflects the way the physical body changes in response to accumulated life experiences. So what are the functions and uses? Well, lepidolite has a monoclinic crystal structure and an affinity for the fire temperament, as well as the lung temperament. This is a unique temperament. It's fairly rare. It's predominant fire with weak metal and fire-destroying metal. So what are the functions and uses of monoclinic crystals? Primarily they are used for purification. Anatomically they resonate with the extremities, regarding the flexibility of the arms, wrists, hands, fingers, legs, ankles, feet, and toes. They're used to treat unhappiness that causes agitation, for purification that requires that we be calm and relaxed. And purification often involves a recognition of the need for change, embracing change and not running away from dissatisfaction in general. The temperament that this monoclinic structure treats or resonates with is the abundant fire and weak metal temperament. When fire becomes overbearing, it leads to an imbalance in the generating cycle. The generating cycle begins with any element you choose, but you could have fire nourishes earth, earth nourishes metal, metal nourishes water, and water nourishes wood. And when this relationship is thrown off and fire becomes too strong, fire will attack metal. And the relationship between metal and fire is fundamentally not a harmonious one. Those who have predominant fire with weak metal may have an underlying contradiction of character. This can play itself out sometimes as a guilt over a lack of organization. Organization is difficult because life is expansive and volatile. There may be problems finishing projects because there's an abundance of creative energy that comes from the heart, but it is too scattered. It is not controlled by enough metal energy. Lepidolite strengthens the blood, extinguishes wind, and calms the shen, or spirit. It is beneficial for treating manic depression, nervous energy, nervous anxiety, or restlessness of the mind, and insomnia. Addiction to thoughts, feelings, or substances, a tendency to continually return to an event in one's memory, obsessive compulsive disorder, erratic and compulsive behavior, a tendency to act out, emotional trauma and shock, and the neurological signs and symptoms such as radiating pain and sciatica, muscle spasms, and tremors. Lepidolite soothes the spirit and the heart. It is beneficial for palpitations, arrhythmia, tachycardia, or rapid heartbeat, and heart pain from either physical or emotional causes. It is helpful for moving through major life transitions and can be beneficial for alleviating the signs and symptoms of empty heat from menopause, which include heat in the 5 centers, which means the soles of the feet, the centers of the palms, and the center of the chest, or hot flashes that occur in the late afternoon or evening hours. Lepidolite clears signs of empty heat caused by deficiency of cooling yin substances. When there's not enough cooling yin, the heat that is naturally present will naturally override the body. It is best for conditions involving heat, which affects the sinews and impacts the mind and spirit. And heat can impact the mind and spirit with aggressive moods or angry outbursts. And it can also cause inflammation or a feeling of heat in the bones, as is in the case of empty heat. Full heat would be inflammation. Empty heat would be a heat caused by a deficiency of cooling in fluids. Wind is a factor that arises when empty heat travels upward. Wind causes restlessness and has more of an impact on the sinews. If wind signs are predominant, a stone such as sugilite would be more useful. However, if heat is the primary symptom, lepidolite is best. Neither option is suitable for dampness conditions, which will often present with edema or swelling around the ankles or the lower body or the abdomen. The stone activates the governor meridian and is useful for treating infertility due to a lack of warming yang energy and infectious childhood disease. The governor meridian is said to be the sea of all yang. It is the yang, the greatest yang channel on the body, and controls the yang qi. Lepidolite warms cold B, which is obstruction of the joints and muscles by cold pathogenic factors that are trapped in the body. It is especially helpful for treating the hip joints, and its ascending nature can direct the source chi upward. It has a soothing effect on the sinews and is indicated for cold stagnation in the hips and the shoulders especially, obesity, physical pain from chronic degenerative conditions, and prolapse, especially uterine prolapse or hemorrhoids. Lepidolite is a beneficial stone for the person who needs to stand on their own. It cultivates the independence needed for life and imparts an ability to separate and to stop behaving in a codependent manner. It is able to draw out depression and memories, which allows us to break the cycle of old constructs and remain calm in the process. So what are the practical applications? You can use a tumbled lepidolite stone to scrape the edge of the hand on the side of the little finger in the depression in front of the metacarpal joint, which is known as acupuncture point small intestine 3, to stimulate the warming yang qi. You can scrape lepidolite on the inner forearm on a point 3 fingers width above the center of the crease of the wrist, called pericardium 6, to treat addiction to substances and any excessive attachments. You can sit on the stone to address hemorrhoids. You can massage, place, or tape the stone on painful joints to treat cold B syndrome or arthritis with cold stabbing pain, or on areas that need warmth, such as the hands in the case of Raynaud's syndrome, which causes cold hands. You can massage, place, or tape the stone on the lower abdomen to treat prolapse of the uterus or bladder. When used in combination with amethyst, lepidolite treats inherited conditions like addiction to alcohol and mental illness. Both stones affect the extraordinary meridians. Amethyst affects the Chang or penetrating meridian, pictured on the left, and lepidolite affects the Yin Wei or linking meridian. You can place amethyst and lepidolite together on the chest in the intercostal space below the breasts, in direct line with the nipples, on a point known as liver 14, to address inherited conditions such as alcohol addiction and mental illness. Lepidolite is often found growing alongside pink tourmaline crystals, which enhance its ability to calm the spirit or shen. When placed under the pillow at night, lepidolite brings lucid dreams. A word of caution: lepidolite is relatively soft and contains aluminum. Only the harder, tumbled stones should be used to make the elixir. Any elixir made can only be taken for a short period of time, 5 days or less, ideally. You can drink this elixir during an emotional healing crisis. A safer alternative can be made using a clear quartz crystal that has been potentiated with the stone's effects in its place when making the elixir. I've done the video on crystal elixirs, which I will link at the end of this video. Lepidolite needs to be cleansed after each use. It is porous and absorbs vibrations very easily. It discharges and recharges very quickly. To cleanse, first place the stone in a bed of sea salt to absorb the vibrations. Then place it in a bed of hematite or in the sunlight for 2 hours to recharge. Lepidolite should not be cleansed with water unless it has been tumbled. And here are some images of lepidolite. Well, thank you for joining me tonight on Secrets of the Stones. Had a fun time talking about lepidolite. I hope you're having a wonderful evening or day, and I'll see you next time.